Welcome to another conversation. I'm Mark.
I'm Arye.
And today we're going to be talking about Ethereum, more specifically the Ethereum hard fork. So for those of you who don't know what Ethereum is, it's another cryptocurrency. But unlike Bitcoin, it's actually a platform for creating blockchains, and it has on it a coin called Ether. So we're really talking about the entire platform, or as it's called, the DAO. Everyone's talking about the DAO. So what is a DAO?
The big thing in cryptocurrency.
Exactly. So DAO stands for Decentralized Autonomous Organization, and it's just something that can be with a blockchain. Basically, a group, a company, a project that runs itself according to a set of rules.
And it's not an original idea or anything like that. It's just this one happened to be extremely successful, which was really revolutionary in the idea of smart contracts.
So, and then the V.
Exactly.
This is the DAO, unlike every other DAO that exists.
They've now been dwarfed by the DAO.
Exactly. So what happened is we had a crazy news story.
Right. There was essentially an attacker who hacked into the system, and actually he didn't actually do anything illegal. There was just a mistake in the smart contract, a sort of a glitch in it that he was able to exploit in order to steal something to the tune of like $15 million in Ether, obviously, which was a third of what the DAO had accumulated in the time that it existed, or something like that.
Yeah. So we're talking about. I mean, we're really talking about one part of the platform. It's one blockchain. And quick story is bad guy, steal money.
Right.
Everything we've seen in the past, whether it was Gox or hacks on individual accounts, meant that the coins are gone.
Right.
But something crazy happened with Ethereum, and that's that the network actually intervened. And the network basically said, wait a minute, this doesn't look right, froze the coins, and alerted the creator. We should shout out Vitalik Buterin. Hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, although probably not. Yeah. Raise the roof.
Yeah. Well done.
So Ethereum was created in 2014. He wrote the paper in 2013, and he was actually the co-founder of Bitcoin Magazine, and huge cryptocurrency fan, and built a platform to allow blockchains rather than just one dedicated. We think it's a super cool idea.
For sure.
But basically the network said, look, whoa, Vitalik, master, creator, something weird's going on here, and it doesn't make a lot of sense. So they decided to hold a vote, and they voted whether to fork the network or not.
Right. And they started originally with this idea of the soft fork, which was sort of going to be this like very simple idea of just sort of freezing all of the sub-organizations from the DAO and just sort of putting a stop to that. But they just found out, they tried to run it in a bunch of different ways, and it opened up a bunch of other people's money to this vulnerability, and they had to shut it down. And it was, and eventually they decided that they have two choices, and that's the choice that they're opening up to the community, which is hard fork or do nothing. And that's essentially what sparked this massive debate of what to do and the implications that will eventually have, and the ramifications that will have for cryptocurrency and smart contracts.
Exactly. And in the end, there was a vote, and the vote was in favor of a hard fork, and that happened last week on the 20th of July. And we're sitting a week after, and we were arguing about it before, and we were arguing about it since, and now we have a week of history, and we figured it was a good time to kind of open it up to you, our audience, see what you thought about it. First, we're going to make you listen to what we think about it, and basically they forked into Ethereum and Ethereum Classic, which rejected the fork. And the question of today is good idea, bad idea, like allowing a hard fork, the idea of intervention. What have we done here?
I mean, it's sort of in a sort of simple way. The obvious debate here is, on one side, we don't want to think that our money's going to be stolen if we trust Ethereum, if we trust cryptocurrency. But on the second time, adding regulation and sort of this too big to fail concept, you're the DAO, as we say, and therefore we're not going to let anyone rob you, is exactly what cryptocurrency, has been trying to avoid. Trying this idea of, this decentralization, exactly what it's saying. They're sort of going against this by having a centralized power that can make drastic changes. And that's, obviously a huge portion. And like you were saying, the vote in the end was very much in favor of the major pools, which is like Ether Pool and Ether Mining and Dwarf Pool, which is actually the largest one, holding 25% of the hashing power. Voted by a massive margin voted in favor. It was 81% with Dwarf Pool, I think 72% with ETH Pool and Ether Mining. But it's important to note here that there was actually a very small amount of people voted. I mean, it doesn't actually represent the community in a large way.
Yeah, you were talking about the turnout. I mean, the numbers.
They're embarrassingly low. I mean, it's actually like like voting in the real world. I mean, it's just nobody shows up. Everyone has an opinion, but when it comes down to it, nobody showed up. And a Dwarf Pool, which again, like I said, is the largest one, 7% of the hashing power. That's who voted, and it's just like that's not really representing the community, which is why I think, as you said, Classical is not doing so badly, actually.
Yeah. So I think, I mean, that's a whole different discussion, about the idea of turnout and that. But we have also Microsoft. For anyone who doesn't know, Microsoft came out last month in support of Ethereum as a platform, and they've included it into Visual Studio, so you can use it as a development component now and then just integrate a blockchain, which I think is big news, big news. But they came out in support of Ethereum. They rejected Classic. So if you've got the major mining pools, you've got like Microsoft, you've got the majority of the users, it should be a kind of done deal. And what we're seeing is it might not be so simple, actually, because there are a whole bunch of people who are supporting Classic.
Right.
And some of them are like known people in the community. We'll do shout outs on Twitter to some people. And if you got this far in the video before you cut off, come visit our site at bitcoinchaser.com. The URL is below. Follow us on Twitter, otherwise at the Coinversation. But the real question is this idea of intervention. We're talking about decentralized currency, power to the people, take away a big bad government. And in order to achieve that, we're going to rather give control to some random person none of us have ever met and let him decide what happens with our future.
It wasn't democratically voted in. He's just some guy created this program. We're all trusting him, and now he's showing that he can use this power. The question is where I sort of had this question of like, does it actually matter if he intervenes or doesn't intervene? The fact of the matter is, can he intervene? That's the question of regulation. The question isn't, does he intervene? The question is, can he? Because, who cares who's regulating as long as he's for the people? But the second he decides to, be tyrannical or whatever you want to say, or give power to certain people. So, I mean, are we ever going to find out a cryptocurrency that doesn't do that, doesn't have any sort of form of regulation, that's impossible to regulate?
Well, Bitcoin, I mean, by default is that. I mean, in theory, like the community could vote to destroy Bitcoin. Like you could literally just, poof, like banish all coins that exist if enough people voted for it. Like I'm against it personally. But the point is that it was always meant to be, market controlled or like public. Your private key is your power. But Aviko, the guy who's coordinating the project for Classic, he comes from Russia, and he says that he spent his entire life in a community that was very government controlled. There was government intervention in everything, can I go to the bathroom, can I go to this, am I allowed, or whatever, like a communist environment. So he's super against the idea of intervention. Good or bad, intervention is a dark path that you don't want to go down. And from a purist perspective, a lot of the guys who, Bitcoin or cryptocurrency purists, this is like the worst case scenario. Like we're going to create something so that we can decide what we want to do, but then we're going to let someone else tell us what to do. It's like the biggest catch-22. By the same token, you look at like Vitalik, and one of the things he said when this first came up and before the vote was taken is that Ethereum is superior to Bitcoin for exactly this reason.
That it can be regulated.
Exactly, that intervention can take place. And here's a case where someone comes in, steals 50 million. And he said if it was Bitcoin, the money would be gone. The only reason we're having the debate is because the technology is superior. So when we spoke about doing this episode, we said what position are we each going to take? And I think we haven't really discussed before what our positions are, so we don't really know. And for me, I didn't want to sit on the fence. I wanted to take a clear stand on either for or against, and I'm kind of taking a weird position, and that is that I think we've opened Pandora's box. I think we've literally, we have no idea how to deal with this problem. But I think it had to be done so that we knew what a big problem was. And I think that
I mean, we're not a problem, because if we see a great success in Ethereum now, it could prove that regulation, regulated regulation, let's call it, at specific times.
That's publicly voted.
That's publicly voted in, and that there's clear and everything's open and above board and on the table, it might positively affect it. Because like they were saying about Bitcoin, there is a problem here. There's a problem that there's a reason that people don't stick their money under their mattress. There's a reason that people put their money in banks. They want some sort of insurance. They want some sort of guarantee. Sure. And even when we're all this, like we're saying, power to the people and it's all about us and it's all about the market. In the end of the day, it's we want some guarantee. We don't just want to stick our money. Ethereum proves that.
Yes and no. Sure, the average person. But the average person isn't the average crypto user. And from a purist point of view, from a crypto anarchist point of view, that's not what they believe. I think we have two different levels to the argument. There's the conceptual, ideological argument. Should intervention be possible or not? How decentralized is this? And then the second is the pragmatic argument. Okay, look, this is what happened. Should we be allowed to use it? And I think that I'm very excited about this, and we've gone on about it a lot, because I think for the first time in history we have a debate about a disruptive technology, but it's happening before we understand what the technology can really be used for. So you look at Facebook, you look at email, whether it's pedophiles or spam or identity theft or whatever these things have been used for, technology was used, it was adopted, and then we saw, oh wait, there's a problem. Now
someone's always going to abuse it in some way.
Exactly.
That's the nature of the world.
Yeah. The human condition, right? Go humans.
Yeah.
But the point is that here we understand the problem, but the debate is difficult to have because we don't understand how technology is going to be used. And I think the issue of money is the least interesting part of this debate. Because right now, coins and money, currency is a manifestation of blockchain.
Right.
But it's nothing, in my opinion. I think in the future
of the ramifications of what blockchain and smart contracts and all these things
exactly.
will eventually have. They'll impact the entire financial district.
No, more than that even. I think it's going to control everything we do. I think education. I think all land registries. I think the way we interact with each other, all communication, public voting. Everything will be based on a blockchain. I believe 10 to 20 years from now, the average person won't even know probably what a blockchain is. But the decisions that are taken on this weird little coin called Ethereum over the next few months will determine a lot of the way that technology will be implemented over the next decade or two. And I think that
maybe in some history book someday, this Ethereum, this hard fork, which is looked at as a $50 million problem, will be looked at as a world issue that really changed the world of blockchain.
That's it, and obviously there'll be a shout out to us on Bitcoin Chaser because we spoke about it.
But we spoke about it.
Yeah. Like the video below.
Exactly.
But no, really,
be part of the movement.
Exactly.
Like and share so people know that you were there in the beginning.
Exactly.
You're not just following the trend.
No, but it really is very interesting because we don't understand how it's going to be used. We don't, we're only starting to understand the possible applications of DAOs, whether it's autonomous corporations, smart contracts, just adapt technology at all. We don't even know what it's going to do. Right. All of the people in the community we're in, and purists especially, believe it'll do everything, and I really do. I think in the days come I can admit I'm probably a purist, but it will be everything. But in order to understand which decision we should take, we have to kind of figure out what the future is going to be, and then think about the implications.
And that's gonna involve speed bumps. That's gonna involve these kind of mistakes that are like you were saying, crucial to the development of the program. Because if we don't make the mistakes now, we're gonna make them 10 years from now, and then it'll destroy the system. It'll be Y2K or whatever. Everything will fall apart if we don't make these decisions and these mistakes early and really have these conversations at the beginning.
No, I agree, and I think it's exciting and most way beyond my pay grade, but this is a real debate about the way the future of the world is going to look. And a lot of these people that no one will ever hear of and no one will ever meet are making decisions that will determine how the next round of blockchain development will be. One of the key questions is, what are the rules for testing a smart contract before it's launched? Because the whole point of a smart contract is that it controls itself long into the future. Now, when that smart contract's talking about a cryptocurrency no one's ever heard of, who cares, Shout out to Nancoin. But the point is that, what about when that controls your medical records? What about when your grandmother's house and who owns it is a function of a rule that some guy in the development lab set. You know, what about when the president of the country is voted in? But more importantly, infrastructure development. You know, the way that basic services are delivered. These things will all be controlled by dApps and smart contracts.
Sure.
So, like how the stuff gets tested in the lab, you know, it's one thing to have vulnerability on this, but imagine someone that posts on a forum, hey guys, just found out how to, like, you know, change the president.
Right.
And this stuff kind of sounds sci-fi and ridiculous, but someone has to figure out what's going to happen. And the people who care are like vehemently debating this. Like it's a really passionate debate at the moment. So if we have to take a position, I guess, I'll say my position is I'm super glad it happened. I'm not in favor of intervention or against it in the future. I think it's a necessary evil.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that there was a big enough amount of money taken that we actually could debate it. Yeah.
Yeah. As much as I'd love to debate it, I pretty much agree with you. I think that it's that as much as we want to live in an unregulated universe and have this sort of freedom, it's not only it's important because there'll always be attackers, there'll always be abusers, and like you said, it was $50 million if people care, and that's important that people care. It's important that people having the debate, having the discussion, and there'll always be the purists who say no, power to the people, you know, and whatever it is. But I do believe that intervention and regulation is important. I think we need to question who's regulating. Like we said, right now we have this.
Who's watching the watcher?
Right, who's watching the watcher, exactly. And I think that that's definitely an important part. Yeah, so I guess you guys can tell us what you think and think about it. Definitely comment below or whatever, and you know, think about it. Open up to discussion about.
Yeah, and we appreciate the comments. We've taken a bit of a break since filming episodes. We'll be back, and big shout out to our production crew. All of you over there, don't all speak at the same time. Yeah. Hope you like the production value. We've invested in the studio. Yeah. We're not just using our office, you know. and it's great to have you joining us, Arya. And we'll be back with the next episode. Follow us on Twitter at The Coinversation. Go to bitcoinchaser.com or just comment on this video, and we'll see you soon.
And most importantly, keep chasing the Bitcoin dream.